It is probably the strangest state funeral they will ever have. Opposition is between 60 to 75%, with about 25% of the public thinking it's a good idea. And it's not just the Unification Church allegations, which the shooter has brought to light. And strangely enough, there is actually a sort of fan base for Abe's assassin, which I don't think anyone ever saw coming. All the corruption scandals and all the things that Abe has done during his administration are coming to light. Today, one of his own party members shocked Japan by saying, Murakami Seiichiro, by saying, I have no plans to attend the funeral. I opposed it from the beginning. During his administration, he destroyed Japan's fiscal policy, the economy, diplomacy, and the bureaucracy itself. He is a pirate. And that would have been unthinkable a couple months ago. No one would have said those things about Abe. So even his own party is opposing the state constitution, the state funeral tomorrow. That's a whole new world for Japan.
And Jake, do you think that they have started doing that because of the public opposition to the state funeral? And and how is the current Prime Minister coping with this fallout?
He's coping with it very badly. When he bet on, he made the decision very early on, and today a weekly magazine reported that the person who urged him to declare a state funeral for Abe was in fact very well connected as a lawyer for the Unification Church. So even his decision-making there has now been linked to the Unification Church, and his popularity ratings and support ratings are at an all-time low. He is literally killing his political career by having this state funeral that nobody wants.
Yeah. Do you think the decision to have the state funeral was very much rooted in the fact that Abe was assassinated?
Yes. Early on, Abe was assassinated, and generally speaking, when you're assassinated, and we believe that he was assassinated for his political beliefs, you're a hero, you're a martyr. But as it emerged that the assassin targeted Abe to illustrate the corruption and the political ties between the Unification Church and the Liberal Democratic Party, and he turned out to be extremely right. And every day there are new allegations and new revelations. That changes everything. So what should have been a unifying event is now heightening the divide.
What is fascinating, though, too, is that we've got world leaders, Kamala Harris, the US Vice President, our own Prime Minister is on his way. They're coming to Japan for the funeral, indicating, in fact, the sway he held on the international stage, and also how important Japan is seen in the region politically.
It's true, but I also feel like the people coming are misinformed. It's like putting your money on a sinking ship. I think Trudeau, had very good reasons for not coming, but his decision not to come was lauded by the Japanese press. They're like, oh, here's a real prime minister who puts his people before silly diplomatic affairs. So I don't think you're scoring any points with the Japanese public by coming to Japan for this. And most of the Japanese public is, very negative about it. I think they sent out about 15,000 invitations and only 6,000 people responded. It's going to be a very empty arena tomorrow.
That is fascinating. So, how do we then assess Shinzo Abe's legacy in the light of all these revelations?
It looks very grim. His legacy maybe is the prime minister who permanently tarnished the reputation of Japan's Liberal Democratic Party. And because of the many lies that he was caught in, it has really questioned the credibility of Japan as a nation. Even Abenomics in recent years, it turns out that a lot of the data was faked. Data about construction numbers, data about employment. In the United States, you have Honest Abe, right? Abraham Lincoln. Japan has Dishonest Abe, and that is their legacy. Their prime minister for 8 years turns out to be a pathological liar who made a deal with a cult that is reviled in Japan. It's reviled even more because it's a South Korean cult, and Abe made a lot of political hay by stoking anti-Korean and anti-Korean Japanese sentiment. So when you find out that the people he united people against, like Koreans living in Japan or Koreans outside of Japan, and he's in bed with one of their cults, that doesn't sit well with the Japanese people.
Yeah, it is quite extraordinary, and the problem is that there are many current politicians that are linked to the church as well. The church itself has taken a complaint to the United Nations because of the way that they are now being treated. Do you see that going anywhere?
I don't see that going anywhere. Because in fact, if you look how the Unification Church has acted in Japan, I mean, they have been a sort of exploitive business that has, conned Japanese people out of, thousands and hundreds and millions of dollars and driven families into bankruptcies. I don't think you're going to find many supporters for that group here. And they tailored that approach to Japan. Plus, Reverend Moon said things about Japan that really make the Japanese right wing angry, because he basically said Japan in God's plan, Korea is the male organ and Japan is the female organ. That also didn't go very well.
That's just bizarre. Do you think there will be follow-up investigations to some of these issues that are coming out?
The numbers are in favor of the leading party, which is the Liberal Democratic Party. They do not want to investigate, but their hand is being forced because their first internal investigation had so many loopholes that it looked like a net rather than an actual, digging into the problem. Yes, they will have to do investigations because the public is very upset.
Yeah, and you don't often see that. Good to have you on, Jake. Thanks so much.
Thank you.